President Trump wants a massive $2 trillion infrastructure plan. And as I said last week, this would be great news, not just for jobs in the short term, but for the whole economy in the long term. Infrastructure boosts productivity, which is the key to raising workers' earnings. The problem is that White House Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney is against it and is running around telling everyone that he's going to block the infrastructure plan, even though it was one of Donald Trump's signature campaign promises. So, will Mick Mulvaney turn out to be another total dud who loses the president's confidence by trying to control him and push his own agenda? Will President Trump manage to push through his plan despite the internal opposition and the deranged investigation obsession of the Democrats? Lisa, lots of questions. What do you think?
Well, the point of contention, or the main issue in this, well, one, part of what's put this in focus is the fact that the Highway Trust Fund is going to be depleted heading into, I think, next fall it is, right? So that's an issue of just running out of money for infrastructure projects across the country. The hang up is going to be on the $2 trillion number and also the revenue. So how do you get to that $2 trillion? You either have to cut other programs, find money that way, or you have to try to raise revenue somewhere, whether it's increasing the gas tax or, something similar like that to try to get to that money. So that is going to be the challenge for President Trump, is finding out how you get to that $2 trillion number, and then also finding something that's going to be appeasing to both the left and the right about how to get to that number. And then also just what the plan looks like, because we don't even know exactly what that $2 trillion infrastructure plan looks like. So finding a plan that everyone agrees on as well.
Fair enough, very practical.
I'm trying to be more positive than the last time. I don't want to be the Debbie Downer of the panel.
No, you would never be that. The thing that, Henry, I mean, it sounds simplistic, but it's not. I've worked in government. I know what goes on with this sort of fiddling of the books and everything. And it seems to me that given how good this is for American workers, potentially, as I said, it boosts productivity. That's why it's good. It leads to higher earnings. The government wastes money on far worse things like this.
Oh, absolutely. Waste money all over the place. We need to find a way to fund, if not $2 trillion, a significant infrastructure program. And that's one thing that people should be doing that nobody's talking about. How about taxing Teslas? That electric...
Well, at the moment they're subsidized, aren't they?
Well, they're subsidized, and they pay nothing for the upkeep of federal roads because they don't use any gasoline. How about we actually start charging people for the mileage that they drive rather than charging people at the pump? How about making sure that people pay their fair share? There's a lot of things we can do that don't involve raising gas taxes on
that's
Joe
a disaster.
and Mabel.
I mean, look what happened when Macron tried to do that in France. Big mistake.
Right.
But Tammy, the bit of I don't appreciate that Mick Mulvaney, who's the chief of staff, was, I know how these things work.
I thought you were pointing at me for a minute.
No, I'm just, he used to,
It's a general
let's put his
pointer.
picture up. Yes, sorry.
Yes.
Mick Mulvaney. Because, okay, fine, he can have his personal view. He's a Tea Party guy, whatever. But he's now working for the president. He's the chief of staff. His job is to get the president's agenda implemented. If the president wants it, he should help him make it happen. Instead, he was literally running around briefing the press within 24 hours of the president having this meeting in the Oval Office about this plan, that basically, it's never going to happen, don't worry, I'll make sure of that. I think that's not okay.
Well, and it's funny because the president has shown that he's not hesitant at firing people. This is a president and an individual who you really can't pull one over on. It's not like, I pulled the wool over Donald Trump's eyes.
Right.
Ooh, nobody ever said that ever. And so this is, though, again, a category of people in politics and in government that are used to being able to do that. There's a level of contempt for everyone outside of that bubble. The reason Donald Trump is so reviled is because we are. He's the representative. And so it's the same kind of thing. It's this kind of contempt that happens. I think that the president knows what he's promised. This was a main campaign promise, as you've noted. He wants to get it done. There will be fights about how do you pay for it. That's going to be an important conversation. But whether it's taxes or something else, Americans know that we waste so much money that we're being asked to pile on more is not going to go over well. But this is a perfect conversation for Donald Trump. This is why he's president, to be able to come to these kinds of conclusions. Mick Mulvaney is not the person who was elected to make these choices, and the president will listen to the people who will help him get this done because it's the right thing for the American people.
Great. I like the sound of that, Tammy Bruce. Thank you very much.